All right, buckle up because we're diving deep into this new Notebook LM thing from Google. And let me tell you, as a productivity nerd, when I hear AI can summarize stuff for me while I'm conquering my to-do list, my interest is officially piqued.
And it's not just about speed, is it? It's tapping into something kind of cool about learning. Remember back in school, sometimes those impromptu study sessions where you're just hashing things out with a friend? Those were the best.
Oh, absolutely, bouncing ideas off each other, making connections you wouldn't on your own.
Exactly.
So this new Notebook LM feature, it's like recreating that, but instead of a study buddy, you've got AI hosts chatting about your reading list,
Precisely.
which, by the way, is based on this Google blog post we're using for this
Yeah.
deep dive. How meta is that?
Very meta, but I'm into it. Imagine you could be out on a run, and instead of just zoning out to music, you're absorbing the key takeaways from a stack of research papers.
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
That's the potential here. It's not just convenience, it's about making knowledge fit into our lives in a way that traditional reading sometimes, well, it just can't.
I'm sold so far. So, Notebook LM, it's not just an audio app, though, right? The blog post mentioned some other features.
Right, you got it. It's more like, think of it as your AI research assistant. You feed it your documents, articles, blog posts, even Google Slides now, which is interesting.
Oh, interesting.
It digs in, summarizes the key points, pulls out important quotes, even generates study guides, and now it can actually have a chat with you about your sources.
So not just reading for you, but having a whole conversation about what you've given it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, color me intrigued. So how does this whole AI study buddy thing actually work? Give us the play-by-play.
Okay, so picture this. You've uploaded a bunch of articles to NotebookLM. You hit a button, and suddenly it's like two AI hosts are having a chat based on those articles, summarizing the material, making connections between different
Oh,
points.
wow.
Almost like study buddies,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like they met up in the library, talked about the reading, and now we get to eavesdrop.
Exactly.
And we can listen in on this AI study session anytime, anywhere. Our on-the-go listeners are going to love that.
For sure.
But before we actually hear it in action, what should we be listening for? What are we hoping to get out of this audio summary?
Well, I'm really interested to see what the AI chooses to highlight from the blog post. How does it connect the dots between different features and ideas? Because remember, we're talking about AI trying to understand and synthesize information the way humans do. That's no small feat.
Yeah, good point. All right, ready to hear this thing in action. The Google blog post we've been talking about, it actually includes an audio summary of itself using Notebook LM.
Yes.
So meta. Let's take a listen to a snippet.
Oh, very cool. Insert 20-30-second audio snippet of NotebookLM's audio summary. Ideally, the snippet would include the AI hosts mentioning a specific feature or making a connection between points.
Okay, I gotta say, that's kind of cool. It sounds surprisingly natural, not what I was expecting from AI.
Right, and I don't know if you caught that. It highlighted NotebookLM's ability to pull information from Google Slides now, which, if you remember, that wasn't even the main focus of the blog post.
Yeah,
But the AI picked up on it as a potentially important detail for a user.
good catch. It's like it's trying to anticipate what a user would actually want to know,
Yeah.
not just regurgitate the whole thing word for word.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder, could this be more engaging than just reading a summary yourself?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? As these AI tools become more and more sophisticated, we have to ask ourselves, is there something about this back and forth, this conversational format, that makes the information stickier, easier to process? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely feels different. But before we get too carried away, we have to remember this is still experimental. The blog post even says that. There are going to be limitations.
For sure, 100%. And this is where that good old-fashioned critical thinking comes in, right? NotebookLM even points out that its summaries might not be perfect. It's still learning. It can't answer every single question you might have.
Right, so we shouldn't go canceling our library cards just yet.
Exactly. It's a tool to enhance your learning, not replace it entirely.
So it sounds like Notebook LM, even with this cool new audio feature, it's not like a shortcut, right? It's not going to make you an instant expert.
Right.
More like a starting point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. It's about highlighting the stuff that's really important, the stuff you should really focus on. And maybe this new format, this conversational style, maybe it just helps some people, retain information better. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever noticed when you try to explain something to someone else, you actually understand it better yourself.
Oh, for sure. It's
Right.
like the teaching becomes its own form of learning.
Exactly. And that's what I'm curious about with this audio summary thing. Is it tapping into that same kind of process, just, with AI instead of another person?
Hmm. And for those of us who, wish learning was as easy as listening to a podcast on a morning jog, hey, this could be a game changer.
Potentially. But it all comes back to, like, how do you learn best?
Yeah, that's such a good point. We always say there's no one size fits all, right? Some people, they need to sit down with a physical book, highlight, make notes in the margins.
Yep.
Others they connect better with, like visuals, videos, audio.
For sure. And you know what I think is really interesting about Notebook LM? It seems like it's trying to bridge that gap, offer some different options.
Yeah.
So, to our listeners out there, I'd say if you get a chance to try Notebook LM and these audio summaries, pay attention to what works for you. Does hearing information this way, like we're having a conversation right now, does it make it stickier for you? Does it help
That,
you connect ideas in a way that just reading, on a screen or a page doesn't?
those are the questions we should all be asking as these AI tools evolve.
100%.
So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into Notebook LM and its mission to make learning a little less work and a lot more engaging. Maybe even, dare I say, a little more human. Big thanks to you, expert speaker, for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. Always happy to be here.
And to our amazing listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Is this the future of learning or just a passing fad? Head over to the comments and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.